In this video, I'm going to make a zombie finite state machine right here. We got the zombie, he's wandering around, and we're going to add transition hooks too, so that the zombie is going to change animations every time he changes state. What's a state? Well, the state is like the wander state. Like he's just wandering around. If I kind of get close, he's going to investigate, right? And that changes the animation. If he sees me, he's going to start chasing. Right. So the reason I have the investigate is I had pathfinding in the investigate, but it took too long for the video, so I took it out. I thought this would be pretty cool, though. He doesn't do any damage yet, but that'd be easy enough to add. He does chase you around, though. It's pretty good. Let's go ahead and get started on our zombie finite state machine. I have an empty base plate right here. There's nothing in my game, and the first thing I want to do is add a rig. So I'm going to go to the Avatar tab, come over here where it says Rig Builder, hit Rig Builder, and then you can pick R15 or R6. Some people like R6, but I'm going to do R15. So if you're new at this, you should probably follow along exactly. I'm also going to do Mesh Avatar 2016 because we're going to make animations and he doesn't have any hair that gets in the way, right? I find him easier to add animations to. Now, I'm going to make this game copyable for you guys. I'll put the link in the description. That way you can open it up, make a copy, and then you got references and stuff. So I need this rig to have some clothes. And if we go to workspace, we go to rig, we open them up. Body colors has to have different body colors, right? And they don't. They defaulted all to gray. So I'm going to delete it. And then I'm going to add new body colors. And these are good enough where you won't get moderated for having an NPC without clothes. Another thing we're going to do, if you've seen the other finite state machine videos and NPC videos, we make this a server script and then use the Roblox code to have them run around and stuff. We're not going to do that. I'm going to delete this because we're going to write our own code and we're going to add our own animations. That's the whole point of our finite state machine. Well, part of the point, right? And then you can name this something different too. Maybe we should call this zombie. All right, now we got to tag him. Right? Because I like to use the collection service so that I can operate the different NPCs based on their tags. So I'm going to right click up here and then I'm going to look for the tag editor. Remember, there's two. They both work, but they look slightly different. Oh, good. And that's the one I like. So I'm going to call this zombie. How about zombie_1 in case we have different zombies with different abilities. Now, he's not tagged yet. Make sure he's selected. And then check right there. Now he's got a tag on him. We can close the tag editor. Let's do 3 simple animations so that we have them for our state changes. I'm going to go to the Avatar tab. I'm going to hit Animation Editor. There we go. It opened it up. If it doesn't, just unclick it and click it again. Sometimes it doesn't open. And then click our zombie. We are going to name the animation down here in the lower left. Let's write wander. This is going to be for our wandering around state. Hit the 3 dots, go down to set animation priority. We will do movement. We're not going to have any trouble with movement because we don't have the animate script, right? We deleted it and it wouldn't have worked anyway because it's a local script. So with that, let's go ahead and save it again. I'm going to save it often in case I lose my place. The entire time of the animation here is 1 second by default. You could change that right here, but we don't need to, right? We're just going to do a walk animation. So I'm going to grab his upper body, not walk. We're going to do like a wander, but it is somewhat of a walk, right? He's going to be like bent down. His head's going to be down. I'm a zombie, right? And then maybe like one arm's going to be out a little bit. And then maybe another arm's going to be out a little bit. We don't want to spend too much time on our animations. There we go. I'll just leave that back one, right? So one I have them on 15-degree increments. I did 2 clicks on one arm and 1 click on the other. He's going to have like a little zombie walk. So we go this way, and then maybe we'll go this way. Sweet. That'll work. You want to have him looking around and stuff? Nah, I think we're fine. Let's go ahead and get these keyframes right here, right? I click that top one. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to copy selected. It's a slow walk, so I'm going to go all the way out to the 15th frame. These are, the second number is the frames, so we have 30 frames per second. I just leave it on the default. We'll do paste keyframes, and then I'm going to do another one out here at the 1, right? Paste keyframes, sweet. And I need to change the middle one, right? And then we're going to loop it. So that's why you really want the first one and the last one to be identical. And then the middle one, you can change it, right? So what should we do? Let's get the leg. Let's kick the leg out 2 this way, and then maybe 1 this way. 2 this way. Let's do 2 this way. All right. And then we could change our arms too. All right. Like now maybe this one go forward. Did I get the arm? I did not. Get the upper arm. Just drag it. Boom. And then the lower arm or the other upper arm. I can't remember which way I moved that thing. There we go. Boom. And now we can go ahead and loop it and then play it. Yeah, you could have his head moving around a little bit if you want, but I think we're good with that, right? This is a video. We can't spend too much time on the animation. So I'm going to hit these 3 dots. I'm going to hit save, and now I'm going to publish it to Roblox, right? So I'm going to hit these 3 dots, and then we will do publish to Roblox. There's my wander. Now I am going to hit the save. I had to make that window a little lower because the button was below the screen. Save. I need this number, and I don't really have a place to copy it to. So let's go ahead and hit that ID copied right there, those little boxes. We need that ID. Don't use my ID. You have to save off your own, right? Because it won't let you use my ID. It'll let you use my animation, but you still have to save it off and get your own ID. All right, where should we do this? Let's go to server script service. This is where we're going to put our AI manager, and we'll just add a script for now. Let's call it AI manager. AI man. I'll do MGR. How's that? How about AI server manager? There, be consistent with the last video. I am just going to put these here for now. We're going to have a configure file for that. It's not ready. I'm going to say wander ID just so that we have it saved off. Now, for the sake of time, let's go back to our game, right? That first tab there. Let's just modify our wander. So I'm going to click on him. Oh, there we go. And then I had to click here too in order for that to open up. Let's do these 3 dots. And we're going to do save as new. Let's call this investigate. Investigate. All right, there we go. Now I need to go to our keyframes, right, that we want to change. So you have to put the scrubber bar where you want to change your keyframes. I probably should have said that in the last video, in the last animation. There we go. This is not really a beginner friendly video. I will do another easy one for animations. So I just moved his head up. I moved his torso. Maybe we'll move this arm down. Right? And then maybe move this arm up like he's kind of like feeling around for something. And then we could move his head back and forth a little bit. Hit the E key to go up. So I can get that green, the green one. There we go. Have him looking this way. Or you could have his head kind of bent, right? That's what zombies do. They kind of on the side. There we go. And then this one right here, you know what I think I'll do? I think I'm going to delete it. Right? I'll do delete after I selected the top and then deleted them. Right? Then I'm going to recopy these. I'm not going to go all the way to 15. I'm going to make this one a little slower. Maybe make this out to like 12. Right? And then paste keyframes. And then this one will be like 24. Paste keyframes. Let's go to our center keyframe right here on the 12. Click, move that scrubber bar, and then I'm going to change his feet, right? I'm going to do here, just move that. I'll keep them both 30-degree steps, right? The wander was that way too, I believe. And we just want them to look different for our video. You guys can work on this as much as you want. Maybe see how his head is crooked, but these lines are not. And I want them to kind of look off to the side. I'm going to do Control L to go to local mode, and that changes the plane to the local part, right? You see that little L there, and that way I can go ahead and modify it on the axes of the part that I'm trying to modify. I think that'll work. I think that'll work for our video. Remember, it is looped. Go to these 3 dots. We're going to check to make sure it should still be on movement. That's awesome. I'm going to save it. I'm going to play it. That's not bad, right? Maybe move his arm a little bit or something like that. I'll let you guys do that. All right, I'm going to unpause this, hit the 3 dots, and then we're going to go to publish to Roblox. All right, I got to move this down because my save button is missing. And then we have investigate. Cool. We'll hit save. And we're going to get these 2 boxes right here. ID copied. Cool. Close it. And we're going to go to our AI server manager and then just write it down so we don't lose it. Investigate. Control V. Now let's just do our chase animation. So go back to our scene and then hit these 3 dots, save as new, and this is going to be chase, right? Wait, I'm going to go to the first part right here, this scrubber bar, move to the 0, 0. Do we want to keep the head bent like that? Sure. Let's move him forward a little bit. So I got that upper torso. There we go. He's got to reach for the guy. Yeah. All right. Oh, we'll get the other arm up too, right? Got to get the zombie arms going. Let's move that up. Upper arm. That's going to be up a little bit. You want to go up high? Sure. And maybe turn it. Want to do 30? How about 45 degrees? This one's pretty good. I'm just going to hit the green. Go what? 45? Sweet. And now I think just delete this one, right? Maybe we'll just delete this one. Delete. We're going to get this. Copy selected. Oh, and we're going to make this even faster. I think I'm going to pull this back to like maybe 18 and then paste keyframes. I'll keep these like this. I'm just going to drag it. So I clicked and I'm dragging, put that at like 9, right? And now we'll manually change this one. So we're here. Ooh, you know what? That's going to be too hard for me. Let's do a delete. Too hard for me in the video, that's for sure. And then let's just go ahead and paste them again. So copy, just in case I screwed that up. And then we'll do paste keyframes. And yeah, that's going to be easier. We're not doing much with legs. We're just going to move these back 2, right? 1, 2, 30 degrees, I should say. We're going to get this one. 1, 2, and then maybe move this arm up. Will that work? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a pretty big movement. It's pretty big movement. For zombies, you know, you might want to tone that down a little. What does that look like? That's not bad. You want to get a just different head movement here, just so that we can see the difference when we're doing our game. So here's our scrubber bar, right here, scrubber bar. Let's go ahead and have the head rock back a little bit. Boom. That's good enough. All right. So he's going to be going faster. And of course, you could change the animation speed with code too. I just wanted to show you that you could do it that way by tightening up the keyframes, right? And then maybe a little bit of both to do some tweaking at the end product. Hit your 3 dots. We'll go ahead and save this. Just check to make sure the animation priority is still movement. And then we're going to publish to Roblox. Got to get that ID, right? There's the chase. We're going to hit the save. Sweet. And then we got these boxes. Click it. Close. Let's go over to our AI server manager, which is in, what is that, server script service? Yep, server script service. -- chase ID. We just need the numbers, right? So if you want to make it consistent, right? Investigate ID. Nice. Let's go ahead and save our game off. We don't want to lose it, right? Publish Roblox. Now I'm going to close my animation editor here. We're going to go back to our scene, and we need to set up our finite state machine. We're going to do that in replicated storage. All right, so go to replicated storage, hit the plus sign. We're going to add a folder, and this is going to be slightly different than the other finite state machines I did, it's going to be a little more sophisticated. So I'm going to do AI modules like I usually do. But now we're going to add two more folders, one under AI, both under AI modules. Hit the plus sign. We'll add a folder. This one is going to be to hold our states. Each state is going to be its own module script. And we'll be able to use them in different NPCs. So we'll have finite state machine states, right? And under there, we are going to add module scripts, one for each state. For now, let's just do one for wander, right? And I would maybe do a control D to duplicate. Whoops, didn't work. Control D to duplicate. There we go. This is going to be investigate. And then let's duplicate that. Control D. Either one will work. Let's do chase. All right, so those are going to be our three states. Let's close this for now. We're going to get back to it. Under this AI modules, hit the plus, add another folder. This folder is going to be finite state machine core. What's going to be under there? A module script. And this one is going to be the state manager, right? State manager. So we're going to be doing a lot of inheritance. And what else? We could also put our zombie module script, hit the plus, module script, and then this is going to be our zombie NPC. So if you're noticing, we're going to be able to use this stuff in other NPCs, right? Now, that's going to be really, it's going to add to our flexibility for our code. Let's get another module script, right? One more. And this one I'm not going to fill in until near the end. This is going to be our configure. Let's just do config. We're going to put our things like the different walk speeds. We're going to put our animation IDs in, stuff like that. Notice that the config and the zombie NPC are not under the finite state machine core. They're under AI modules. I was a little bit quick with that. I should have pointed that out. Make sure these two are not in these subfolders. Let's start out by populating our finite state machine under the core state manager. So double click that. We need to change this name. How about state manager? Now remember, it's not like Java. You don't have to have the class. It's a table. We're treating it like a class. We don't have to have the class named the same as the file, right? Lua is a little bit different like that. Control V to paste. So here's our table. Then we're going to return the table. We're going to put two functions in our table. So we'll say function, not local, function, because we're going to use it outside of our module script. We'll do state manager. I should just copy that. And then colon, set state, right? Set state. And we're going to pass in the new state. So we're only going to change the state if the state is different. So if we call this more than one time and the state hasn't changed, we're just going to jump right out. So we're going to have this self right here, and then we're going to keep track of our current state. Current state does not equal new state. Right? And we don't have anything set for this right now. That's okay. It'll be all right. If we get inside that if statement, like the state went from wander to investigate, we need to have call an exit hook first, right? So there's a change of state. We are going to have an exit hook called on exit state. And the reason we have that in an if statement, if somebody did not define it, we don't want to cause an error. We don't want to call it unless it exists. And Lua, you could check. We're going to have that. You could check to see if this is nil. And if it's nil, we're just going to skip right over that if statement. So if we do have it, on exit state exists, then we are going to call self current state, right? So we're going to say, hey, we're leaving this state, right? We're going to leave this state, so do something. That's our transition hook, leaving this state. And then we'll say self current state will now equal new state. And then we're going to do something really, really simple. Control C, Control V. We are going to have an on enter state, right? So here's your state hooks. On enter state. If this exists, then let's go ahead and call it. But we are going to be entering the new state, right? new state. Or you could put current state here because it did switch. Maybe we should do that. Maybe that's more clear. Right? Either one will work. Right. Now we have to do our decide action. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy this so I don't have to try and type it out when I make my next function. I'm going to say function, control V, and then I'm going to do a colon, decide action. Now, if you haven't done object-oriented programming much in Lua, this is going to kind of blow your mind. A few videos ago, I went over this, but probably not as much detail as I needed to. I am going to make a variable for my function that I'm going to call for my action. It's just going to be called fn for now. It's a very small function, so I shouldn't have too much trouble with the naming. I'm going to say if self.states, if we have our states table, then fn, the function that I want, I'm going to store in that variable, I'm going to say self states self dot current state, right? And that's going to get the state, the module script that we need, the function from the module script what we need, and it's going to store it right in there. And if you're having trouble envisioning it, it's because our module scripts for our states are not going to return an entire table. They are going to return just the function. Something that I usually don't do, but it's going to be very convenient in this video. Let's do another if statement. So if we were successful and we got our function, then let's call the function and just pass in self, right? This is crazy, right? You probably you haven't seen much like this unless you're really good at doing Lua, right? Now you might be thinking, where is he getting this self from, right? This self thing just magically appeared. I'm going to show you. Let's go to our zombie NPC. And we're going to start working on that. I'm going to just name it the same, right? I'm going to copy this. Control C, Control V, Control V. Let's get our state manager, local state manager, the thing we were just working on. We're going to require it. So we're going to do script.parent. That's going to bring us up to the AI modules. And then we are going to go to the FSM core. And now we are going to get that state manager. All right, while we're here, let's also do, how about our FSM folder for our, we got to get our states themselves, right? The wander, the investigate. We haven't populated those out, but I want to put that in here now because I'll forget otherwise. So let's do script.parent.finite state machine states. That's just going to get this folder right there. All right, and then what else do we need? Ooh, we need to get, this is the tricky part, right? We have to start doing our inheritance. So we're going to get our zombie NPC dot __ index equals zombie NPC. Oh, not equals, I'm sorry. Just one equals. That's so that when somebody inherits our zombie NPC, we can get the functions and stuff. That's our meta index call, meta method call for the index. Here is where we are going to start setting up our functionality to use the self in the state manager. We're going to say set meta table, zombie NPC, and then we're going to do that little curly bracket thing. We're going to set up __ index equals state manager. Now this line of code is saying, hey, if I call something in zombie NPC and it's not there, look here. This is making my state manager the base class for my zombie NPC. And it's also making it so that when I use self in state manager, I'm using the zombie NPC self instance. Now check this out. If I go down here and I get this zombie NPC states, I'm going to make a states table. It's going to be kind of crazy. Open and close curly bracket. I'm going to do my wander. Now, wander's not populated, right? It's not really doing anything. It's just that empty module script. We are going to require that from our FSM folder, and then we have the module script in there, right? We're going to populate our table. We're going to have our investigate, right? Investigate, require FSM folder, investigate, make sure I spelled that right. Investigate, cool. And then We're going to do one more. We have the chase, right? We have our chase, require, FSM folder, dot, chase. So those three module scripts are going to be our states. So we're putting the module scripts inside the states table, which is in Zombie NPC. If we go back to our state manager, I'm going to switch files. Hopefully it doesn't mess you up. State manager. Oh, look at that. That is the Zombie NPC. That's the states table. And then when we put like wander in there or something like that, let's go back to our Zombie NPC. Then we get this wander. It's going to require that, and we're going to be able to get that functionality. Pretty crazy, right? Now let's create our constructor for our Zombie NPC. I'm going to scroll the code up a little bit here so we have some room. And above the return, I'm going to do function and then Zombie NPC. Let's do cut and paste right here so I don't make any errors. Right? And then that's going to be a dot new. We're going to create a new object, a new Zombie NPC object. We are going to pass in the model. Oops, I had that happen. We're going to pass in the model. And I usually put object right here because this truly isn't self, but the convention is to use self because it's going to be the self variable, right? So I think I'll do that this time. Let's get our set meta table. We'll have an empty table, and then we're going to use this Zombie NPC as the base class. Essentially, we're going to make an empty table with all the functionality of Zombie NPC in it. It's just a convention, right? And then let's do self.model. We'll assign our Zombie NPC, the model that we passed in. That's our zombie out in the world that was tagged zombie_1. And then let's give it a name too, right? Because we might want different names for our models. So I'll say model.name. And what else? Oh, let's get the humanoid. That saves time. I'll just call it .hum. So we'll say model : find first child. Should we do which is a humanoid? Wow, those are hard. It didn't give me any help on that either, did it? And we're going to do another one for humanoid root part. Let's do a cut and paste. Control C, Control V. That's going to be for the humanoid, HRP. You didn't have to get rid of the H. All right, and this is going to be humanoid root part. Root part. If I make a mistake, it's usually right here. Humanoid. All right, let's go up a little bit more. What else do we need? Let's get our self current state. Set that equal to nil as we're creating our object. And then let's get our animation track. We need one of those. So current animation track. I'm just going to do anim track. Shorten it up a little bit. Set that to nil. Now we don't have our configure set up yet, so I'm just going to put a note here. Load animations here, right, into a table. It's going to put them in a table. And then also, once we have our animations, we're going to say self, state, set state. Let's do set state. Wander. Oh, and don't forget to return it. That has cost me time many, many times before. Now, before we go too much further, I want to go to my AI server manager. Oh man, I hate that IntelliSense. Right here, or if you can't find it, remember it's under server script service, AI server manager. And let's get the minimum amount of code to get our zombie in the world and check to see if we have any typos, right? Because this is getting to be a long video. I'm keeping these here. These will go in my config file. Actually, let's just move that right now. So AI server manager, I'm going to do a Control X. I'm going to go over to my config, which is here, AI zombie modules, config. Let's just go ahead and put those notes there, right? Go back to your AI server manager, and let's get our collection service. So local CS for collection service, game get service, collection service. We are going to need replicated storage, right? So let's do game get service, replicated storage. That's where all of our AI stuff is. And then let's get a variable for our zombie NPC, the table, the object, right? So we're going to require it. We'll say require rs, and then we're going to go AI modules dot zombie NPC. We're going to make a table of NPCs. Now we only have one, right? But we'd add more if we had a bigger game. We're going to keep track of all of the NPCs in that table. We'll do local function, spawn zombie. If you guys are noticing, this is almost exactly from the other videos for state machines. So if you did that, you could just go ahead and copy that. I'm going to say original model, and then we'll do a clone, original model, clone. Did I get that right? And then we'll clone dot parent, set that equal to the workspace. What else? Do local NPC will be the zombie NPC new clone. So we're going to give it intelligence right there. And then we'll do table. Let's do an insert to our NPCs table just to keep track, right? And we're going to put in our NPC. I made those variables a little too close. Whoop, local hum equals, let's make it so that it respawns if we kill it. So we'll do the clone, find first child. Well, we can do find first child, which is a humanoid. Good. If hum, then hum.died. Let's get the died event, connect that to an anonymous function. We will, let's do a task.delay too. I did this before. Task.delay 5 seconds. Give it 5 seconds. And then this function is going to do the clone destroy. I spell that wrong a lot. And then we'll do another spawn, right? So we have a spawn zombie here. If we, right after we destroy the other one, it died, destroy it so the body parts go away. And then let's spawn the original model again. We're going to go down here a little further and we will initialize our population of zombie NPCs. So I'll say for, do underscore because we won't use the counter. The model in CS get tagged. I think we called it zombie1. We'll find out soon. Zombie1. So everything that's tagged zombie1, we are going to spawn that zombie, right? And then pass in the model, right? That model right there. Almost done, right? We got to do our little loop, our decision loop. So we are going to spawn this so it doesn't tie up the thread. Do a function here, and then we'll say while true, we'll wait. I don't know. Task.wait. You want it to go fast? I will do 0.5 seconds. That should be sufficient, right? And then we'll do another for loop. NPC in NPCs, the table, we'll make them decide what to do. Decide action. So NPC, decide action. Right? So remember, we have that decide action. It's way over in State Manager though, right? Because we use that as the base class for the zombie NPC. This won't quite run yet. We need a little bit more functionality, but we're almost ready to test. In our zombie NPC, we have these finite state machine states where we're actually already putting them in the zombie NPC, but they're not returning anything meaningful. It's all nil. Let's open up our wander, right? Our wander right here. This is going to be a little bit different. I am not going to return the entire table. I am going to return a function. Yep, you could do that with module scripts. You could just return the function. I don't see it very often, but you can. So we're going to make that wander. Control C, Control V, and then I'll do a function. Wander dot, we're going to call it execute. We're going to call them all execute for the wander, the investigate, and for the chase, right? We don't really need to get too specific. We will have self available. So let's go ahead and put that in there. Let's just do a print statement. Print And we'll do wander, just so we know it's being called. We are not returning the table. We are returning execute. Do not have these two parentheses there or you'll get an error because we're calling it from the side and then you'll have like a double call for execute. Let's do, you know what, we're here, right? We'll just copy this. Control C, might as well put a stub function on investigate. Control V, investigate. Make sure we spell it the same. Control C, Control V, Control V. Oh, put it here too. In the print statement, copy that, Control C. And we got chase, right? Chase. Chase. Right? Control C, Control V, Control V. All right, now we can try it out. It's only going to have wander, right? Because we don't do any state changes, but we want to make sure we don't have any errors. Oh, look at that. We have two zombies. That's fine. We got to move the other one to server storage. There's being a lot of calls are being called for wander, but I don't see any scary red. So that's kind of a good litmus test. Let's go ahead and turn this off. I think it's time to move our zombie down to server storage. Now remember your what do you call it? The animations are on there too. So if you want to do animation tweaking, you'll have to move them back in the workplace. There we go. The zombie. Now let's work on our zombie NPC module script. I have it open, but if you lost it, go to replicated storage, AI modules, and then zombie NPC. Here's our constructor. Underneath the constructor, I am going to do some state transition functions. So let's say function, and now we're going to use the zombie table name, colon, on enter state, and then we'll have new state. I'll put a little print statement here, just so that we see the transitions kicking off, right? Put some brackets so they stand out. Finite state machine, comma, self.name, in case we have more than one zombie. It's just going to say zombie, right? We made it zombie. Yeah. And then enter state, and then new state, right? So we see that. I'm going to do the same thing or very similar for the exit. We're just going to get some stub functions to test out the state transitions. So this is going to be on exit state, right? Exit state. And we don't have new state. I think for exit state, maybe let's just call it, how about state? Because it's the state they're in. It's not the new state. It would be the current state. And then we'll just call that state. Right? And then, so this is good like this. Oh, let's do leaving. Leaving state. Now we can't really transition to states yet because we're going to need to be able to detect the players that are close to us. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go up here and say, or down here, let's copy this, Control C, Control V, and then we'll do a get players, get nearby players. And I did this in other videos too. So if you've been following along, you can copy it, but have it so that it's the table I'm returning. I did this a couple different ways, right? Radius or distance of interest, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to need the player service. I think I'm going to put that at the top of my script. So go up to the top. And now we'll say local players, game, get service, players. I like to define the services at the top of the script. Just my convention, right? So let's go here and get the players. We got the players. Let's get the results. We need a table for our results, right? So let's initialize that results table. Right? So just nearby players. I'm just going to give it to the zombie. Zombie's going to pick one. Right? And then we'll say if self.hrp, that's our zombie's humanoid root part. Let's do a for loop for I, comma, p in pairs of the player service get players. So we're going to go through the players in the game, do, so each P will be a player. We put an underscore here because we're not going to use the loop counter, the 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Let's get a char, the character of P, right? P.character. All right, we should check to see if that character exists, but I'm going to show you something kind of tricky. Some of you guys already know it, but I think this is pretty tricky. Let's do local. Let's get the player char, right? Or player HRP. Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. We'll do player HRP, but we got to check to see if the char is there. So I'm going to put this char just like that. If it's nil and I have and, then we're going to fail the condition. This HRP will be nil. But watch this. I can say char, find first child, humanoid root part. Let me stretch that out a bit. And then we're kind of combining stuff here. That's a little bit advanced. I don't usually like to do that because a lot of people in Roblox came from another programming language and they don't use this stuff. But if one of these turns out to be nil, the PHRP will be nil. Otherwise, we're going to get the humanoid root part. That's pretty clever, right? But like I said, I don't normally do that. I wouldn't have done it. I was just kind of thinking of it right now. I never really introduced it. All right, so we do have to check to see if the PHRP, the player humanoid root part, exists. Right? And then what should we do then? Oh, let's get the distance. Let's say local distance. So we'll say PHRP dot position minus the self HRP, that's the zombie's humanoid root part position. And then we need the distance, we use magnitude. And I can never spell magnitude. Magnitude. I had a little cheat sheet here how to spell it. All right, and then let's check to see if the distance is sufficient. So we'll say if the distance is less than, how about less than or equal to the radius of interest, right? Where we can see out to. Well, that's a nearby player we got there. So let's go table.insert, and we want to get our result. Oh, we called the table result. I think I might change that to results with an S. Let's do that. Results. There we go. Because we're going to have more than one going back. And that should do it. So everybody who's close enough to us gets stuck in the table. And then we'll say return results, right? And if nobody's in it, you're going to get an empty table. What else should we do? Oh, can see. Let's do some ray casting, right? So we can hide behind stuff. Let's do that. Let's say function, and we'll get our zombie NPC can see. We'll pass a player in. Can we see the player, right? Because once we're interested in a player that's nearby, then we're going to look for it, right? So we'll say local char. Well, we have our player.character. I'm not going to be fancy anymore. I'm just going to check. If not char, then return, right? How about that? And then let's get our HRP, our player HRP. PHRP equals char, find first child. That's a humanoid root part. Cool. And then if not PHRP, and let's check to see, make sure we're not having any trouble either. Or not self HRP, maybe something happened to our zombie. Right? We don't want a dead zombie trying to see. Right? So make sure his HRP exists, make sure the player's HRP exists, and then let's return. We could just do return, that'll be a nil, but why don't we just do return false? It's practically the same, but a little more explicit that way. There we go. What else? Let's define a max site. And we're going to have to put this in the configuration folder because now we have like distances of interest for our radius, and then we're going to have max site. And if we just hard code this stuff, it's going to get confusing. But let's just get this working now. In order to do ray casting, we need ray casting parameters. Let's call it ray params. How's that? That's pretty easy to know what it is. So we'll say raycastparams.new. This is going to be our filter list, our exclusion list, and stuff like that. So say ray params, and then we're going to have filter descended instances. We don't want to see ourself, right? So let's go ahead and put self.model. So anything that's a descendant of the instance of that model, which is our zombie, we're not gonna include. And then we have to do the raycast params filter type. So you could do an inclusion list, but I've already hinted that we're going to do an exclusion list, right? So we'll do enum raycast filter type dot exclude. And then let's do a local dir. We need to get the direction that we're going to cast the ray in. We have a phrp position, and then we'll subtract a self.hrp position for the zombie position. Let's take the unit vector of that. We're going to normalize the distance and then multiply it by the max height. So the vector is what we defined, 50, right? Because we're not going to know what that distance is. So we got to make it a 1. We got to make it a magnitude of 1, but we're going to keep the direction. All right. And then we're going to multiply it by the max height, which gives us 50. So let's do a local result, see what it is when we do a workspace raycast self HRP. So that's my position, self HRP position. And then this is the direction we're going with. Oh, but we kind of normalized it. It's really distance and direction, right? But that's all right. I think you can figure that one out. And then we'll do raycast params. We got to pass that in so we have our exclusion list. If we get a result, right? I'm going to scroll up a little bit. If we get a result, then we don't have to check. Oh yeah, let's do another check. I probably should put this all in one line, but I'll do a result if result instance is descendant of the char, right? Remember, we're looking for somebody in particular. That's the char of the player. Then we're going to return true. All right. Now we can see if the player runs behind something and there's something obstructing the view between the zombie and the player, it's going to return a false, right? It's going to default to false. What? We can do this. We can make it explicit, right? But if we get in here, we're going to return a true, right? We're going to say, oh, we see him. Now we're going to have to hook these up, this can see and get nearby players in the wander state. But let's go ahead and run it now to see if our on enter state and on exit state fires initially, right? So when we went over here to the state manager and we change a state, wander was in the constructor. We come in here. If the states are different, which they are because I didn't set it originally or I made it nil or something, check to see if the function exists. And then, I think we either need to pass a self in there. Let's try this. We need these colons here because we need the self to be available on exit state. This is fine. We're just checking to see if the function exists. And then here, if we call it, we want this self available too, not just the current state. Let's take a look real quick. It's on zombie NPC. Yeah. Yes. Let's do that. We need that self here for the print statement. We might even be able to get away with it. No, we don't, because we're going to be doing animations too. Keep those. Right? Change that. So when you go over to set state manager, which is an full state machine core, set state manager, make sure there's colons here. That should help. All right. Let's see if we get a transition. I hit the play button. Yeah, there we go. Zombie leaving state nil and zombie entering state wander. Cool. So our hooks are working. Our transition hooks are working. Let's turn that off. Shrink that down. And in order to test our can see and our get nearby players, we are going to have to go to the wander script. I'm just going to click on it here, but if you need to find it, go to replicated storage, AI modules under FSM states. Wander right there. I'll leave the print statement in for now. Make sure it's executing. I anticipate a few more little Easter eggs like with our transition hooks that we found. Let's do a local now equals tick. We're going to have a timer and fire it off when our zombie's ready to wander again. So let's say if not, we're going to need a member variable of our object called next wander. And I know I didn't put this in the constructor. It's kind of a bad habit. to do that, to miss something like that. We can, but it'll be fine. We could define it here. If it's not defined, if it's nil, like whether you did that in a constructor or now, you can check, and we're going to enter the if statement if it's not. Or if our now self next wander, then what is this saying? Oh, we're going to set this for the next time he wanders in this if statement. So if we didn't set it at all, it means we haven't done any wandering yet, so we're going to fire it off. If we did, then we're going to make sure that a sufficient amount of time has passed, if our now is sufficiently further than next wander. And I think we should randomly assign the wander time. So I'm going to go to the top part of the script, and then I'm just going to make a variable for my random number generator, random.new. I won't bother with the seed value. And let's put some print statements in here too that are different. So we'll see if the wander is executing. We kind of already know that is. Then we're going to put a wander 2 to make sure we get into this if statement. Let's get, we better check. Let's do a check for our humanoid root part, HRP, self HRP. Remember, we have a self HRP. And then let's just do one more. Got a lot of if statements here. Boom. This will be 3. So this is how a lot of you guys should be coding when you run into an error, right? That's why I'm showing it. We'll say local. How about offset? If I can spell offset range, right? That's going to go into our configuration too. But for now, let's go ahead and just define it right here locally. And then we're going to calculate out an offset using the offset range. So we'll use a vector 3 new, and then we're going to do, how about random? RND. We could do a next number and then give it a range. So that'll be negative offset range to offset range. Can y'all see that? Let's put this on another line. Should we do it here? Oh yeah, because we're going to need 3. We're going to need 3 values. That's just for our X value, right? So our X value is going to do that. Y value will be 0. Let's do that, comma. And then the Z value, I don't like the IntelliSense. It's going to be very, very, let's just do the same thing for the Z value. Control C, Control V. I know you want to put that down there. There. A multi-lined offset. You could jam it all on one line, right? It's all right. It's just that I wanted you all to be able to see it. All right, so this is going to be our offset to the position that we're in right now. So I'm going to make a variable called target. I'm going to say self.hrp, and that will be position plus offset, right? So we're going to move our HRP. We're not going to just move it with the C frame though. We're going to activate animations, which we don't have set up yet, but we will. So we'll do a self hum : move to, and then that's going to be our target location, I should have said, but that's all right. Ooh, and then we're going to do a delay. Let's do a delay between our moves. So we're going to use that next wander flag. So I'll say local, how about a min delay, 2 seconds, local, max delay. We're going to put this in the configuration too. Say 6 seconds. That'll be good. And then we'll do self dot next wander will be now plus random next number, min delay to max delay, min delay to max delay. All right. Let's try it. Let's try it, right? So we should get all 3 of these. Let's play. View, output, and we're only getting 2, and he's not wandering. Let's see, what was that? Well, we had 3, right? What was the third? Close this. Wander. Ooh, no HRP. Let's check. Let's go to zombie NPC, right? Right over here under AI modules. Oh, you know what? I bet this is all happening too fast. I think what we should do is a wait for child. Wait for child. Control C, Control V. Now, if you don't have one, you're going to, oh, you could put a timeout on these. That's all right. This will be fine. All right, let's try it now. Let's try it now. Oh, he's moving. Oh, yeah, we're getting all three. Wander, wander, wander. There he goes. And then when we hook up that animation, it's going to work great. Right? We're going to put that animation in the transition hook to enter the state. We're going to turn the animation off when we go into our exit state, and we're also going to change the speeds of those. That's working pretty good. We can get rid of those print statements. You feel lucky? You feel like we got it? Let's do it. Let's leave one. Let's leave the wander, the main wander. Get rid of some of these print statements. We don't want to junk up our output too much. Now, while we are wandering, let's just go down in our wander. We need to also see if we can detect nearby players and see nearby and see them, right? So let's do a local, how about a detection radius? Detection radius, and we got to do that in the config, right? We're going to need to do that in the config, but right now, what do you say? 30 studs? We'll say local. Let's get our nearby players, nearby self. We'll get our get nearby players, and then we're going to do our detection radius. And then let's do a for loop because we're going to get we might get characters back. We might not get anybody back. So that's okay though, right? If we don't get anybody back, we're just not going to fire the loop. So we'll say for underscore and P in nearby do, I didn't do the pairs, right? So you could do that in in Lua now. It's more Python-like. Just trying to give you some variety. So we'll say if self, and then we're going to get a target player, right? We have that target player that would be chasing. We might just be defining it now. I might not have put it in the constructor. We'll have to clean that up, but that's fine. If it's nil, let's go ahead and do a target player equals P. Right? So we got somebody who's nearby. Target player is going to be P. And then let's see if we can see him. I'll just put another space in here. Give us some room. We'll say self can see. Is that how we spelled it with a capital? I think so. Can see self dot target player. Then self. We want to do our state change, right? So self can see target player. Then we're going to self state change. And that gets our transition hooks too, right? And then we'll say chase, right? So if we're nearby and we can see them, we're going to chase them. Else, we're going to investigate. We're nearby, but we can't see them, right? So we'll say else if self dot target player, then no slash this, right? But with an investigate. Sweet. Now we're going to see if these two are working. And then let's just return. So we're going to get a player, and then we're going to just stick with him. So we can go from wander to chase or wander to investigate, but once we get into these states, we can't get back. Because if you look at, here's my investigate, right? Right, we don't have anything there, right? And then for chase, let's write chase here. So we can get into the state, but we can't get back out. Let's try it. So we're going to have to check these separately because we can't transition state. So we can go from wander to chase. Let's try to do that. Go view, output. The zombie's going to pop up close to us. He's going to be able to see us, or should be able to see us. And then we'll know if chase works. Here we go. There we go. So I can turn this off now. He's not intentionally chasing us, right? He's just getting close because we just have a stub function for chase. But we could see the chase is firing, right? So we're firing that off. That's good. Now what we need to do is block our field of view and see if investigate works. in order to see where the spawn location is, I'm going to go to server storage. I'm going to just click on the zombie, and it'll give that default location as of now, as of this video. If you do that in server storage, it pops up. So let's just put a little barrier right here, and then investigate should start working because we will be close, but the zombie will not be able to see me. All right, let's do this. Our green is up, straight. We'll go over here to anchored. I'll turn cast shadows off. There we go. All right, let's play it. We'll do view output. All right, I'll go ahead and clean this up. And maybe pull this down a little bit. Hit play. And there we go. We went from, I know that was kind of small. I should have made it bigger. Wander to investigate. And now we're stuck in investigate, right? And it shouldn't be doing anything because we don't have anything defined for that. But that's pretty good. So now we know that our can see is working and our get nearby players is working. I'll go ahead and turn this off. And now what we could do is start working on our investigate. Now our investigate gets called when we're wandering around, we get close to somebody, but we can't see them. So let's handle that situation. We'll keep the print statement there for some troubleshooting. I think what I'll do is get a variable for the player we're close to. We have it stored under self.target player. I'm just going to do that so that the lines aren't so long, right? You're going to see that I have a couple long lines. If we get our player, let's check, right? You never know what can happen. If not player, something happened. Or not player.character, then self.target player, set it back to nil, self set state back to wander. Something went wrong. All right, maybe they died, maybe they jumped off the end of the world, maybe they quit. Right, now we're just going to return. It's like, nope, didn't work out. Then what? Let's get the humanoid root part of the player, because if we get here, now we can get the humanoid root part. We got the character and we got the player. The player and the character, I should say. So I think I'll call it target HRP for who we're chasing, right? Player, dot character, find, first, child, that's a humanoid root part. About right? Humanoid. Nice. All right. Let's do another check, right? Another very simple check. It's going to be really, really simple to this. I'm actually going to copy this, Control C, but I'm going to put the if statement, I'm going to type that in, right? I'm going to say if not self.hrp, right? We ran into that earlier, so we should check. Or we need both. Not target HRP, then, something bad happened. Control V. I got too many N's there. It's all right. Set target to target player to nil, go back to wander. So something happened with the HRPs. I probably could have consolidated it all up here, but sometimes it's better to sacrifice some space for readability. All right, so we got down here. We can go ahead and chase after that target. We'll say self-hum, that's the zombie's humanoid. We'll do a move to, right? Move to target HRP dot position. Now, other things can happen too, right? Like we can't get there. We can't see him, so something's in the way. That's where you'd have to do your pathfinding. But let's find out the distance. Let's just do a distance check, right? Just another one. If target HRP dot position minus self HRP dot position magnitude, that's the distance, right? We want a scalar. Subtracting these two would give us a vector, the vector distance. We want it to be a single number. So distance, 50 studs or whatever, 30 studs. All right, so we're just going to do that check. We'll go down a little bit. And then we're going to say if self can see, right? Every time we get in here, we're going to do another check for a can see player. We see the player. We can go to chase. Set state to chase. So you can go from investigate to chase. Do I have to do anything else there? No, I think we're good. And then I'll say else if the distance, and we could pick a distance, right? We're going to put this in the configuration because it's already getting kind of confusing. I think my sight distance was like 30. We'll call it 30, right? So if you're within 30 studs, you're not going to do anything different if you get here. But if you're further than 30 studs, let's go ahead and break off and go back to wander, right? Just like that. So we got too far away. We outran them. Cool. You don't really need this return here because you're at the end. But if you want to put something else there, you might want to keep that return so that you don't mess up. Shall we test again? I think we should. I don't want to get to the end of an hour-and-a-half video and then have it be broken. I am going to move with my home tab, my spawn location out a little bit. I'm going to run up so I can trigger the investigate. I'm a little worried that my wall will be too high, so I'm going to change it because I want you guys to see it. We have it at 13 studs. 7 should break. Yeah, 7 will break our can see. Will it? Yeah, that'll work. All right, let me just bring this up. Collisions. Boom. Maybe make it thinner to. Oops. Uncollisions. There we go. Play. View. Output. He's in wander. Oh, it's kind of far away. Did he wander right into the wall? Oh, there he is. So he wandered away from the wall. He wandered into the wall. Let's do this. There. Investigate. So he's sliding on up. Oh, that seems to be working good. Now, if I get too far away, here, I'm going to move this down. If I get too far away, he should break into the wander. And he did. There he is. He's wandering away. We got to get our animations going, but it's looking good. If he sees us, he's going to go into chase, which means he's not going to do anything. Right? There he is. He's chasing. He's not doing anything. Let's go ahead and do our chase now. Let's turn this off. Maybe get rid of the output window. Let's go back to chase, or go over to chase. Now, in the interest of time, I think I'm going to make this chase very similar to my investigate. It's going to be going faster. It's going to have a different animation, but that's going to be done in the hooks. Here, what I think I'm going to do, let's grab a lot of this code. All right, maybe up until, we don't even need the distance here. So from right under to the player to the move to, go to chase. I'm going to keep that pretty close. If I change anything later in another video, I would change the investigate, not the chase, right? The investigate needs the pathfinding. The chase is the straight shot. So we will check to see if the player is there, if the player character is there, and if it's not, we go to wander. That's fine. We have our target HRP. I know we check to see if our zombie HRP and our target HRP exist. If either of them don't, we go to wander, right? And then if everything's good, we're going to move on over to the target HRP position. If for some reason we can't see our player anymore, if not self can see, and that'll be the player, then self set state investigate. I spell that right? Investigate. We can do a return here. Doesn't really matter because you're at the end. All right, so this gets us back into the investigate. Don't forget, can see not only if it's a ray cast, but it only goes out 50 studs. So you can outrun the can see, right? Just maybe you can't find a wall or something. That's all right. So let's do another quick test. Let's go to view, output, clean that up. We're going to pay more attention to our logs because we don't have a speed change or an animation change yet. Let's go to our world, and then I'm going to hit the play. So we are in wander. It should go to investigate. And then it should go to chase, which it does. Back to investigate, and then to wander. Let's take a look at our logs. All right, there we go. So we got in there. We got wander. We have a few wanders. We went to investigate. We jumped the wall. We got some chases. And then those are hitting pretty fast. Might have to check that. So we have some chases, and then we go back to investigate. We go to wander when we get far enough away. So that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and shut this down. Now we need to get our speed and our animations hooked up. Let's go ahead and pop on over to our config. I have it open. If you don't remember where it's at, remember replicated storage, AI modules, and then it's under AI modules. It's right on the same level as Zombie NPC. All right, so we don't really have anything here. We did save off our IDs for our animations. Let's change this module to config. There we go. And I want to have my walk speeds, right? So let's do config dot walk speeds. Walk speeds equals open and close curly brackets. We're going to have our wander. You want to spell those the same as the names of the state. All right. So we have our wander. We have our investigate. And if I make a mistake, it's probably going to be that one, right? 6. And then, so these are the walk speeds. So wander is 3 studs per second. Investigate is 6. And then chase is going to be the fastest, right? You can play around with these. I'm going to make it so you can outrun the zombie, right? Basically. Now I want to come down here and get that again. Control C. And we need our animations. So config animations equals open and close curly brackets. We are going to have all 3 of these, but they are not going to be numbers, right? They're going to be something along the line of RBX asset ID. I spelled that right? RBX asset ID : / Oh, look at that. Control C, Control V. Nice. I'm not going to try and spell that again. All right, there we go. And then get our other number. Might just be easier to, don't forget your commas, right? Might just be easier to get this whole thing, right? Control C, Control V. You can leave that last comma there. I like to take it off. A long time ago, Java used to give you errors if you left that comma there, but not anymore. Most of the programming languages actually let you keep the last comma, even if you don't have something after that. Control V. All right, so that's our chase, that's our investigate, that's our wander. Now let's go ahead and connect those animations. We're going to load them up into our zombie. We need to go to Zombie NPC. There we go. And we're going to go to the top. We're going to do our animations here, right in the constructor, the .new. That's the key to being the constructor, right? But up on the top here, here's some requires. I think I'll put it right here, right? Local config equals require, and then I'll do a script .parent .config. Now we have that module script, right? We go on down. We are going to need a table for our anim tracks. How about self.anim tracks, open and close curly brackets. So it's an empty table. And then we're going to say for state and anim ID in pairs config dot animations. Right, do. So local anim equals instance new animation. Oops, and there it is. Animation, not animator, right? Animation. And then we'll get anim. Animation ID equals anim ID. Local track equals self dot hum. Oh, you know what? We need the animator. Well, that's easy enough. Let's go where it says load animations. That's a good place to put it. Do self.animator, and we can get that from self.hum. Oops, that's a colon. .hum, and then we'll do a wait for child. Right, we ran into that waiting for child before. Wait for child, and then animator. How's that look? Hume, wait for child, animator, animator. Good. Then, not Hume, let's do animator right here. And then we could do the load animation, right? Load animation. Anim. And then self dot anim tracks square bracket state, right? That's the wander, the chase, whatever. Track. All right, so now it's time to hook these up. We got them loaded. Let's go to, how about, we'll start with on enter state. Although in the state manager, the exit's called first, but let's do on enter state. I think that it's going to be more intuitive. Let's do a local speed. We're going to get our speed change, right? So we'll get our config dot walk speeds, and then we're going to have our new state. That'll be the wander, the chase, the investigate. And then if speed and self Hume, then, and you might want to put like a else print statement here in case one of these states is spelled wrong somewhere in your config or something like that. But we're going to assume mine is right. We'll say self Hume walk speed equals speed. Nice. So that should change our speed based on our state. Now let's play our tracks. So we'll say local track equals self dot anim. I should just copy these so I don't get a spelling error. Anim tracks new state. If track, then track colon play. And then we'll say self. Let's keep a track of our track. So let's do self current anim track equals, whoops, not true, track. Cool. All right, so that loads it. When we do a state change, we exit our state first. So say if self current anim track, then, so we're going to make sure there is an anim track. And if there is, then we're going to turn it off, right? We'll say current anim track stop. All right, let's do it. Go ahead and hit play. Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have moved that closer. Let's hit our view output window. It's all right. We're in the wander. What does that look like? He's kind of wandering around. Yeah, he's got the animation going. If we get close, what happens? Oh, yeah. Now he's in investigate, right? He just kind of runs into the walls, though. What's the chase look like? Chase is pretty good. We can get a little more movement on those legs. Not bad for a video, though. For like an hour and a half video. Yeah. Yeah, the leg movement could have been more. Let's check that investigate one more time. Yeah, it's working. All right. I mean, you can put more into those animations for sure. And you just put some damage scripts on the zombie when he touches you. He doesn't stop. That's pretty good. Should you guys want to see how to do another configuration? Let's set up one of the configuration values so we don't have all those literals floating around. I'm not going to go through all of them, right? I'll just show you how to do one, and then whatever you can, what you want to add, you can add. Let's turn this off. How about we do the vision for the can see? That's a good one. I'm going to close this output window. So all of your literals that you have floating around in your project, you should keep them in a configuration, some sort of configuration file for organization. I will put, how about a config value for vision or can see, however you want to see it, right? Say it. And then we'll say max site equals 45 studs. How's that? Max site, 45 studs. So remember this. We have config, vision, max site. I will even copy that. Wherever you're going to put it, now in our zombie NPC, we already have up at the top, I went all the way up to the top really quick. Sorry about that. We already have the config, so you have to require it. If it's in another script, just do that up at the top. You go to where you need it, like can see, right? Oh, look at that. Max site, 50. Control V, max site. Now it's 45. But if you keep it all in one area and then you want to do your configuration, you just have to go to the configuration. Make sure you name it well, though, right? So this is how far the raycast will go. Make sure it works. Just hit your play button and then go to view and output. And it kind of looks like he's doing all right, right? He already left the state. Now he's running. Oh, wait, it's raycasting, though. So we are calling it. It's not breaking. When we get 45 studs away, there he goes, wander. All right, looking good. I will see you in the next video. This was a long one. I think this is the longest video I've ever produced.